Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I am your Evelyn Shorty. Today we're going to look at our brilliant ruin, Horror at Crane Mansion. Hell of a title, but it's fine. It is part of a big multimedia kind of thing, because when I first ordered this, I thought to myself, this sounds familiar. I feel like I've read something like this. It reminded me a little bit of when Dark Horse also did their, not Mansions of Madness, but other like H.P. Lovecraft themed board games turned into comic books. And I was like, yeah, it's got that kind of vibe to it. It turns out I was right. There has been an RPG Kickstarter. You can get the Our Brilliant Ruin game for free through Drive-Thru RPG right now, or at least you could last night when I was looking into this. And they also have a podcast, which, again, looking at it last night on the way to a gig, I had some time to kill, so listen to the first 3 episodes. And those episodes plus this issue do give me one criticism just in terms of storytelling. If it was just this comic book, I probably wouldn't have worried about it too much, but having now engaged a bit more with the media, its criticism I leveled at absolute Flash issue 1, so I feel like it's worth doing here. I don't mind this idea of the world being as we remember it, but slightly askew. I'm currently running a tabletop role-playing game myself called Unhallowed Metropolis, which is a neo-Victorian steampunk horror, and it goes into some detail about how the world is different from our own, like what divergent thing happened to set it on 2 separate paths. Our Brilliant Ruin has clearly done that, but I don't know enough about it. Like, very little is said about what makes this different from our world history at this time. Apparently, there are monsters, but I don't know why there are monsters, how prevalent they are, what people are doing about them. There is a massive class divide, but, I mean, I'm aware of British history, the period they're talking about, there was still a massive class divide. There's an awful lot of things which are different, but not enough explanation given to them, and I like to know how they're different. I don't need to be spoon-fed, should I say, an entire history of the world of any story I'm reading. I feel like a good writer can drop you in, but I also feel like if we're going for a world history but slightly not right, the thing that makes it slightly not right is going to be an important factor. It's going to be something which stands out, and I feel like it does deserve to have that kind of story told. Not that it's the end of the world. 3 episodes of a podcast and 1 issue of the comic book, I am kind of enjoying what they're doing. I do like this idea of high society stakes with this kind of class divide, and throw in something weird and gribbly going at the same time. That's my jam. Like I've already said, the Unarmed Metropolis game I'm running. It's exactly the kind of stuff I love, so why the heck wouldn't I enjoy this? And I do. The setup for the comic book is we do have a mystery to be solved at a high society event, and it's a setup issue more than anything else. And sometimes those can be a drag. And don't get me wrong, this isn't the most exciting issue of a comic book I've ever read, but it does some things I really quite like. First and foremost, we have an ensemble cast, so we need to be introduced to an awful lot of people and find out the stakes of the investigation, what motivations people have for acting in certain ways, and what other people think of them. This is actually done really quite efficiently. We have a host of a party introducing a whole bunch of guests, and we get their very, very basic viewpoint. They're introduced to the investigator, who is there to uncover some things, and we get her viewpoint as well. But then as she's walking around, she's talking to these people, so we get a third little snapshot of who they actually are or what they presented themselves to the world. With quite a lot of people being introduced, usually with only, I'd say, 10 to 12 lines of dialogue about each person, we get 3 different snapshots of who they are, who different people think they are, who they portray to the world. This is very good economy of words. I feel like you could have spent a lot longer on each person, you could have been drip-feeding this in through multiple issues going forwards, and it could have slowed it down. Instead, we just get given this very tight bit of snapshot writing. The actual mystery is also very, very handily done, in the fact that the last couple of pages changes what the mystery is. So they don't have to spend that long setting up why the investigator is there. We don't have to know too much about her motivations for why she's taken on the job, because the story isn't about that job. By the end of it, it's about something completely different, and I like that way of writing. It's all done very, very well. If I'm going to give any other criticism, though, I will say it comes down to the artwork to a slight degree, and it's not a major criticism. The actual line work is fantastic, really nice bold inking. Some of the costume design is fantastic. Very easily managed to set up through visual motif what is the style of clothing at the time, but then each person is wearing a unique outfit. But if you know what you're looking for, and I'm afraid I'm not up on my fashion, I can't tell you exactly the name of the various accoutrements, but there's enough there that you can recognise themes and then see that people are wearing what would be considered the fashion at the time. Nobody is going out on a limb, but each one does look different. However, the colouring is a little bit flat at times. I feel like maybe some shading, some depth to the range, some different choices made on textures maybe could have had a little bit more, But in the grand scheme of things, certainly not to spoil it for me, and I do feel like I am intrigued enough to definitely carry on the podcast, and I'm probably going to read at least issue 2 so it goes, and I might even go and download the RPG. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!